Yes, Cinder, a remix of Dark Souls 3 by Rotaka. Folks, for, well, not the 100th time, but maybe like the 85th time. You know what that song means.
Hmm. Yeah. Okay, sure. It's the monthly of us rambling and
Mm-hmm.
maybe trying to
Mm-hmm.
design a game
Okay, yeah.
and attempting to be somewhat witty and whatever else. It's this show. It's insert
Insert
credits. We're on
credits.
round 100 triple digits, and it's in the name.
100.
It's literally triple digits because we have three digits now. Yeah, we've been doing this show since 2014.
2014, my goodness. That's a lot of time. It's a long time ago.
Yeah,
Uh,
yeah, a fuckload has happened in both of our lives in the world, and
whew.
yeah, it's sure a time right now. Yep.
Good gravy. Well, I'm glad that we're still doing it. It's been a bright spot for these many years.
Oh
We've
yeah.
we've had a lot of fun. It's gone through a few different evolutionary changes and iterations and all that, and we've tried some stuff that worked pretty well. We tried some stuff that didn't work quite as well, but still worked somehow. And
Eh.
well, we're still here doing it. So I'd say it's still going pretty okay.
Oh yeah.
Gets
Yeah.
the pretty
We
okay
started out
seal.
doing this weekly, every Friday.
Yep.
Or did we
Mm-hmm.
switch to monthly by the time insert credits started and Seeking Infinity kind of waned?
That's a good question. At the very least, we were doing bi-weekly.
Yeah,
Because we
yeah.
didn't shift
Okay.
to like just straight up monthly for maybe like a dozen episodes, I want to say, or rounds rather.
Or
But I also don't recall if we were straight up weekly for the very start or not. But yeah. Of course, way back then when we were doing it more frequently, obviously we were living together for a while at some point,
sure.
and our shows themselves were much shorter because we had a lot less to talk about over the course of
Well,
a week. This particular variation of the show, sometimes our Seeking Infinity ones got excessively long, 4-ish hours and change. But yeah, it turns out that when you increase the amount of time between shows, you get to talk about more because more happens. I know that's a stunning revelation to anybody who
yeah.
has the basic grasp of linear time. But anyways, welcome everybody. I'm Mr. Bond.
And I'm Tormod somehow still.
Yeah, yeah, we're all hanging in there, thankfully, which is good. Which is good. Insert credits, round 100. Jesus,
Yeah.
that's many rounds under our belt, and hopefully a few more to come as well.
Hey, and
Um,
tonight's the full moon. Like, you can't get any more perfect
is
than
it
this.
real?
It's so great.
So why is it called the worm moon then? Since you told me that
I don't
earlier.
know. I didn't look into it. I just knew it's a full moon. It's called the worm moon. It's supposed to be huge and beautiful. And go look at it. Maybe after the show you should listen to us. But maybe you could do both at the same time. Maybe you're good like that. I don't know.
Well, let's see what space.com has to say on the matter.
Oh, there you go.
Current blah 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 3:17 a.m. UTC or no, I don't know what that is. 07:17 UTC, which was today, obviously. But yada yada altitude doesn't even say anything about the worm moon. It
All
has it
right,
in the
fine.
headline, but it doesn't say why.
All right.
Oh, it's
Well,
silly.
let me
Oh, here
see
we
what
go.
the interwebs have to say about it. Or you can. That's
I had
fine.
to scroll down a bit. The March full moon is called the worm moon in the Old Farmer's Almanac, and that supposedly refers to the emergence of earthworms.
Okay. Makes
Okay,
sense.
I suppose spring is on its way, and here's a full moon, and things are starting to come alive again. I guess that tracks.
Ah, yep. The soil is starting to warm up some. And
Okay.
then all the rain's gonna happen. And then they do that weird kinky earthworm gym thing. Like Sonic for Hire told me about at least. I don't know. You remember that, don't you?
I have
Maybe.
vague recollections of it. I can't like I remember watching it. I remember watching Sonic for Hire, but I have no like
Yep.
clear memories of individual details of it. It's just kind of this weird blur of, yeah, that sure was a thing that we watched one time.
Okay, well, let me repeat one word for you, and that word is avocado.
Avocado, yeah.
And that was the name of one of our rounds at least once.
Yeah, one of the earlier ones, I believe.
Yeah, I
Were
think
we in
so.
single digits at that point?
Very, very possible. I think I remember seeing it in the 2014 list. So yeah, there you go. A little history for you.
So yeah,
Bringing
round
it all
8.
around.
Round 8 was avocado.
Nice. So we were in single digits, and now we're in triple digits. So yeah, it's something that we just did there.
Many,
The
many
shrug.
things have
Uh-huh.
happened since then, but we would be remiss not to start with some housekeeping. So obviously, this is round 100.
Uh-huh.
We had scheduled from a couple months ago. Round 101, it will be April, looks like 15th.
Let me do that thing where I forget to bring my calendar up.
Yeah, that's
Yes, the
why.
15th. That sounds right.
Okay,
Should be
good.
back by then.
Good, good. We did schedule round 102, but I didn't put out an invite because I'm bad at remembering
Uh,
things apparently. That looks to be May 13th. Oh right, the 13th. Yep.
yes,
Na-
it's obligatory.
Naturally, of course. That means we can also probably schedule up 103.
Hmm.
It's looking like either the 10th or the 17th.
Well, um, I suppose it depends. We're only
17
going to
would
be a third
be,
of the way through the month at
yeah,
the 10th. Let's do the 17th.
17th. I like closer to the middle because that gives it a
Yep.
nice little signpost in the middle of the month. All right, I will remember and then not remember to send out an invite for that one later.
I mean, it's just how we do.
Yeah, and that puts us at 3 out, which is more than enough to be scheduling in advance, because time plays tricks on us all. So congrats,
And it
we.
goes by so slowly, and then it doesn't, and
Yeah,
then,
and
yeah.
then it doesn't, and then suddenly we are 100 rounds in, and we're like, wow, what did we do the last 8 years?
Oh
Oof.
God. Yeah.
So cool. I think that wraps up housekeeping then, because there's
Yeah, just
not
about.
really any other housekeeping to be done. So around the world, so this being the 100th round and all, I had some weird inkling of special things to do, but then world just kind of happened most recently in the past few weeks. So we've got plenty of news, including a lot that's still relevant to games and game industry and all that. I'm sure everybody has heard of, and if you haven't, where the heck have you been? Russia's unprovoked invasion and war in Ukraine. That
Uh-huh.
sucks. That's real shitty. Uh, it seems like the entire rest of the world is united against that, which is good and cool and awesome to see. And that does
Uh-huh.
not leave out the game industry or game developers either. There has been a huge surge in folks supporting Ukraine and denouncing Russia and all this stuff, in spanning from AAA's all the way down to indies. So let's start with the big AAA's. Ubisoft, EA, Take-Two, Sony, Activision, and Epic have halted all new sales of software and/or hardware in Russia and to some extent Belarus. That includes sales of PlayStations, Xboxes on the hardware front. Nintendo has also closed down the eShop in that region. Well, not closed down, set it into maintenance mode, which effectively means no sales are going through there.
Mm.
Oh, boy. Niantic has taken that a step further, even. Niantic produces Pokemon Go and Ingress and all those other kind of weird AR, XR games. They have shut down Pokemon Go entirely. Instead of just banning new sales and whatever, they have shut it down entirely in that region. That's not to say this has all been negative news and everybody's like closing down whatever, but in positive support of Ukraine, itch.io has their huge Ukraine bundle, which just wrapped up this morning. The initial goal they set was 6 million, and as of this morning with the close of the bundle, 6.37 million raised through that
Uh-huh.
bundle. Fucking incredible. Just
Yep.
amazing. The particulars of that bundle is just shy of 1,000 items there, 998 for a minimum buy of $10, and they raised 6.37 million. Whew,
Oh
that's
yes.
great.
Uh-huh.
That is some good stuff to see.
They had some outstanding games in there too, so I mean, like, you'd be silly not to.
Mm-hmm.
Oh,
Mm-hmm.
oh yeah.
So similar to some of the other bundles they've done in the past to support excellent causes, there was the full gamut of more well-known indie-ish titles and then more obscure titles and one-offs, and everybody was just throwing their support into it left, right, and center, which is super awesome to see. Unfortunately, that has closed, so you can't get any more, but it is good to bring up that that is a thing that has come out of this terrible, terrible situation.
Can I add something to
Yeah,
that?
absolutely.
So another bundle opened up today, and it already has $2.5 million, just over. This
Oh,
time it's a humble bundle. It's the Stand with Ukraine bundle, and I'm actually going to put a link in chat
nice.
for that.
Okay, yeah.
So I just noticed that right before the show, and yeah, it's doing healthy numbers already.
All
Now let's
right.
see here. They got some Spyro stuff in there. Da, 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 da. Slay the Spire is a fan favorite there. Car Mechanic Simulator 2018. Hey,
Oh dear.
hey.
Okay.
Some of
Set
these things I haven't heard of, but they look interesting, like Pop-Up Dungeon. That sounds cool.
some of the bigger titles in there: Satisfactory, Back for Blood, Metro Exodus. Oh
I
boy,
see Monaco.
Monaco. Nice. Okay, good. Yeah, Slay the Spire, Long Dark, Endless Space 2, Kerbal Space
Toe Jam and
Program,
Earl.
Starbound, Skullgirls. Jeez, Wander Song. Oh boy, yeah, that's
Moon Hunters I've seen around in a lot of different bundles
yeah,
lately. I
Hunter
think I own it.
Super Hot is there. Broken Age, Pikuniku. Oh my goodness. Well, if anybody was looking to supplement
Ooh.
their library, there you go.
And it comes with PDFs of a lot of tabletop stuff too. I'm noticing Pathfinder 2e, Starfinder, Warhammer. Oh yeah, there's a lot of really cool stuff in there, and some actual just like books and graphic novels too. That's pretty sweet. Hey, a guide on how to start automating with Python. Pretty cool. I've been getting more into PowerShell at work again lately, and it makes me feel smart. So yeah. Ooh, that's cool. They even have stuff for making minis with your 3D printer for
Oh,
tabletop
nice.
stuff. That's pretty sweet. Yeah, so yeah, this looks like a pretty healthy bundle of things you can make physically, games you can play with your friends, and of course, just stuff that lives inside your PC. So yeah, they've already hit 2.5 million, and it looks like they have a ton of really good stuff. So yeah, go do that thing.
Yeah. So obviously we've been critical of Humble in the recent past for their weird shenanigans with splits and donations and stuff, but the important bit on this particular bundle is that 100% of everything is going towards Ukraine support. So props to them for
Absolutely.
that. That's good. We will stand behind that 100% too, because that's a good thing they're doing.
Yep,
Um,
yep.
one other notable thing that was making the rounds as well for Ukraine support is that John Romero has come out of hiding again
Yes,
and,
he
and made a
has.
new Doom 2 map with all proceeds coming from that going to Ukraine relief organizations.
Yes.
So he had done a fairly new level pack as well in the past. This is following in that same vein where you don't necessarily need the most modern of the source ports to run it, but you need something better than the bog standard Doom engine to run it. So there's that. Oh my goodness, that's two major bundles. John Romero, and of course, the various shows of support from individuals and other organizations in denouncing all this is it's good to see. When you feel like your faith in humanity can't really get any lower, and then all this stuff kind of happens, you're like, all right, okay, maybe we can hang in there for a bit yet.
Hmm.
Oh, all right. Well, other good news. The rest of the news that I've got is all good news, which is good. Um,
Excellent.
so Bethesda, boo, of course, who are now owned by Microsoft, will be discontinuing their proprietary games launcher. Yay!
Okay.
Including, yeah, exactly. So it had you in the first half, right? Um,
Mm.
so all the stuff that's currently on the launcher right now, including any wallet funds that you have through it, any DLC you've purchased with it, whatever, is going to be migrated over to Steam. Um, which
Hey.
is good. Like, hey, yeah, all right, let's get rid of a shitty launcher and move to a pretty good one. And get rid of one of the ones that doesn't need to exist. So good news, great job, good job, Bethesda, Microsoft, whoever is running the show over there now. Something a little bit even more better, even better news. So back in
Mm.
2018, the developers behind Celeste, Extremely OK Games, won a game award for best indie game or something like that, but they never received their physical trophy. This is back when they handed out physical trophies for things in actual events that they could get together at and meet and stuff. So they never got it. But there is a YouTuber looking around on eBay and stuff, looking to get a replica of one of those awards, just just for grins or whatever. Who knows? And they found this curiously real looking game award on eBay, and it turns out that was the one that Extremely OK Games should have received. So
Oh,
you would think that, okay, that's kind of a neat little story already. It doesn't end there. This YouTuber bought that award and then shipped it to Extremely OK Games, saying, "Hey,
hey,
this is for you. This is what you earned and deserve. Here you go."
4 years ago.
Exactly. So it's like, wow,
Jeez,
that's really neat and cool. Um,
right on.
See, some faith in humanity again being restored. Getting all Dark Souls up in here. Okay, so I lied. There's one item that it's kind of neutral at best.
Okay.
With all of the acquisitions and mergers and all that's going around, it apparently Epic has acquired Bandcamp.
Uh,
Yeah, and not feeling the greatest about that because Bandcamp was
okay.
kind of this weird mythical thing that's so good for everybody involved, really.
Hmm.
So it's like, well, cool. The people who are running Bandcamp are getting a solid payday here. Great, they're making the money and whatever. But then it's like, well, we're almost certainly going to be losing something special here. Because there's always going to be the folks that say, well, they haven't done anything bad to it, and everybody else who has been around the block a couple times, like, yet, because this is how this shit goes. Get bought
Uh-huh.
out. Promises are made that nothing is changing. Oh, we can do so much cool stuff now that we've got proper backing and whatever. And oh, they're gonna let us keep running it the way we run it. And it's like everybody's kind of sitting back and going, yeah, for now, sure, okay, yeah, but
Uh-huh.
we know the inevitable is coming eventually. So let this stand as another cautionary tale and also a please, please, please go download everything you've ever bought on Bandcamp right now. Yes, right
Uh-huh.
now. Don't rely on it being there forever because I can guarantee you, almost guarantee you, that it won't be there forever and probably not in its current form. And who knows when that other shoe is going to drop with it. So,
Hmm.
that's not to say that you shouldn't keep buying stuff through Bandcamp to support the artist, because at current it is still the best way to do so. As far
Yep.
as a large music and or creative marketplace is concerned, don't take this as an exhortation to not buy through Bandcamp because it is still the best one. But just be careful.
Yep.
Shit's gonna happen eventually,
Be wary.
right? Okay, that's all I got. I think on the whole that was mostly positive. So,
Yeah. Um, I thought of something that I wanted to say midway through that was related to some news, and I'm completely drawing a blank now, so we'll see if I remember that. Okay, so big thing. Oh yeah, yeah, okay. No, this is actually whatever. Let's talk about Ukraine a little more.
okay, yes.
So Call of Duty and Battlefront and COD
Mm-hmm.
Blops, whatever. We'll just
Mm-hmm.
whatever.
Mm-hmm.
So none of those games were ever like delayed or canceled or not released in certain regions because of conflicts.
Mm-hmm.
um, and yet Nintendo has decided, honestly, in a good way, I think, to delay the release of Advance Wars 1 and 2 Reboot Camp because of the invasion of Ukraine. And of course, that made me look back at Advance Wars. And I was like, oh yeah, there's that tactical RPG that I never actually played before. That was pretty big on GBA.
Mm-hmm.
And I was like, yeah, you're driving tanks around and stuff. And it kind of just reminded me of the farmers stealing all of the Russian tanks and towing them away with their tractors. And I got a brief moment of glee. So I wanted to share that with y'all. Um, Oh, let's see here. We talked about the Humble Bundle already. We already talked about a bunch of different game companies pulling out releases and events and all sorts of goodies. So good. Good. Very happy with that. Now moving on then. Tunic. Tunic, a game that has changed names since its initial conception, but ultimately has always revolved around a cute little fox in an isometric world that harkens back to a lot of classic adventure RPGs, Metroidvanias. People call it Souls-like and whatnot. Um, so I've heard it described recently as, oh gosh, it's like La Mulana if it didn't hate you.
But
So
the hate is what kind of is La Mulana, though. So how can it be
I
like
know.
that when you're missing 95%? Uh,
So okay, we'll call it a La Mulana like then. Why not? It's just going to become its own thing.
ha.
But okay, so this is an isometric view, and what? Okay, I have to sell the game. The elevator pitch. Okay, so when you begin the game, you cannot read the script inside of the game.
Okay. All right.
And that's all fine and good. It's all runic. Eventually, you just kind of, based on other games that you've played, eventually you'll be like, okay, so this rune means blank or something like that. Well, it's just a thing because you've had games that were like that in the past, and you figure, okay, that's probably the mechanic here. So you start out and you get a stick, and you're like, huh, this sure feels a bit like Botwa, but okay. Or even like Z1, realistically,
Mm-hmm.
because that
Right.
stick
Wood
had a
sword.
hilt
Yeah.
and nothing
Yeah.
else. Yeah. So you got wood. Cool. Um, and then shortly after, you pick up this curious white floating page, and you're like, well, this looks special because it's glowing and it's on a platform. I wonder what it is.
Hmm.
Well, it turns out it's a page of the game manual, which is very meta and amazing and delightful. And instantly, you see the art on the inside of this manual look very similar to what you might expect out of the Zelda 1 little player's handbook that comes with the cartridge
Mm-hmm.
from the NES release. And it's even the same aspect ratio. Like you have the same vaguely rectangular pages and you even get to flip through it, but a lot of the pages are missing. So throughout the game you pick up these pages and initially you can't really read them. Like there's some stuff like it'll say HP or SP in the middle of the rest of the runes and stuff. So that's all fine. And that's really cool. It's got great artwork. It has some good maps for you. Like I want to say the original Zelda 1 little player's guide came with maps of dungeons 1 through 3 or something like
Mm-hmm.
that.
Mm-hmm.
So it kind of behaves the same. Like you find some pages and it kind of guides you along the story. It's like, okay, cool. This is kind of how to get you going. Now have fun. So the game is great. Um it starts you with nothing, but it makes you rely on your intuition in a very kind way. So it assumes that you've played games like this before. You probably get the gist, and it just trusts you. So it's a game that going blindly is the best way to play it. Much like any new release, if you want to enjoy something from the get go and just have your own experiences and whatnot, don't watch other people play it. But there is an extremely collaborative part of the game. I found it really interesting that the review copies that were sent out also included an invite to the game's Discord. And there were some basic rules like don't be shitters and things like that. But they encouraged them to collaborate. So as these reviewers are playing through the game in order to write their reviews and whatnot, they shared their discoveries and things like that. Like, hey, I think this rune means this, or I found this hidden passage, it's here. And it turns out that's actually kind of an intended thing. So the developers of the game and the publisher, Finji, intended for people to collaborate. It's like the old experience of having a couple people in the same room just playing things and starting a new game, and they're collaborating. They're like, "Hey, I found this level. I found the dark tomb. Like, oops, I'm not supposed to be here yet, but hey, if you just remember this for the future, because you can't see, but it's here, and that's one of the things we need to do. It's part of the story probably. And that's really cool. Um, I've been watching Vlad play it since release. It is actually free with Xbox Game Pass right now, and that was unexpected. Until release day, the publisher had said that it's not going to be on Game Pass. There's no way, no, not happening. And then it was. So, not really sure what the disconnect with that is, but if you have Game Pass, it's free. I'm not sure if it's free on the PC version of Game Pass, but it certainly is on Xbox and it plays beautifully. It's also available on Steam for $30, and the soundtrack is available as well. I don't know where that's being sold, but I do remember a mention of Bandcamp. The soundtrack is phenomenal. There is nothing bad about it so far. There's a lot of different grooves. Everything feels very atmospheric. It's good. The thing I found interesting is like if you discover something or if you finish a boss fight or something like that, there's not really like any fanfare. There's really nothing that like denotes a bookend for something. It just continues pushing you into trying things. And I think that's neat. So we're only like, I don't know, 5, 6 hours into the game and taking our time. Like, it's kind of understood that, like, sure, the game is going to push you in the direction eventually of a story, but given its isometric nature and the fact that you're walking behind land masses and around water and things like that, there's naturally going to be places that hide things. And we found quite a few so far. It's pretty cool. So explore at your own pace. It's really fun. It's really cute. Um, it's customizable once you figure that out. That's all I'm gonna say. Um, but it's super, super awesome. And if you played the demo, it does kind of divert from some of what you saw in the demo. So it's not like, cool, you played the first 2 levels of the demo and that's exactly how the game is. Nope, nope. Give it another go. It's not what you expect. That's all I'm going to say on that one. So, wow. Um, it's just so impressive so far. Um, the only weird thing that we've noticed so far is accidentally before picking up a certain item clipped into an area that we shouldn't have been able to clip into and they got stuck. So
Oops.
that was as easy as exiting out to the title screen, relaunching the game, and it was very kind because it actually put us at the beginning of that screen. So it's not like we had to go back to our last save area or anything like that. So that was a thing. You
Did
might run into a similar issue. Give
didn't
that a try.
didn't checkpoint you out of bounds or something?
No, no, it was great. Um, so that was very kind of it. It is cute how it reveals more in your language over time as you get exposed to more things that say something similar to what you've already read. You can start kind of being able to deduce what the signs and the manual and whatnot say. And yeah, it's real great. I'm really pleased with it. I'm really excited to see how the game turns out. Um, Definitely not in a rush though, and I think it's kind of refreshing. It reminds me of Zelda 1. Like, you were given nothing, and you had a map, you had a basic, like, we're going to push you in certain directions. Like, here's the Wood Sword Cave. It's literally the first cave in the game as you start it. You start with the basics, and you get, like, here you go. Have this little nudge in the right direction. Now go forth, my child. It's just, it's so good. You're encouraged to explore and learn and have these experiences kind of organically. So I like it. Very little dialogue, very little anything really. Minor cutscenes, like it's pretty cool. I love it. Enough about that because I'm going to talk forever on it. Elden Ring. So I think it's kind of funny. Um, Lots of really interesting people worked on that game. That is a Souls like. The hell is that guy's name? Regardless, there is a Miyazaki who worked on this game, and a lot of people are confusing this Miyazaki with Hayao Miyazaki.
That's the one I thought of right
That's
away.
not
Like, huh.
the same person. Just be aware of that. Yeah, that y'all can go look that up yourselves. This game also has critical acclaim from those who have played it so far. It's released several patches already. There was a patch released on Thursday that added a ton of game content already. And of course, bug fixes and whatnot. But so far, I've overwhelmingly positive feedback on it. It was very recently released. George R. Martin, whatever, the dude, the novelist.
Yeah,
I'm not very familiar with
that's the
that whole
one.
thing, but so apparently he was consulted for the story in that game, I think. Pretty sure that's correct.
That does sound right.
Because I keep seeing his name and face popping up on things. Now, admittedly, I've never played a Souls game. Yeah, I've watched some speedruns at GameStone Quick Events, and those were neat because, like, here's how to defeat a boss with not moving or stuff like that. Or you could sit in the middle of a battle and the boss can't hit you because it swings an axe and it's not quite short enough to hit you or something silly like that. Well, of course, people are speedrunning this game already. Somebody has managed to beat the entire game damageless in under 3 hours already. And holy shit.
Wow.
So, yeah, it looks really cool. I'm not of the gamer level to really succeed at games quite like that require grinding the same thing repeatedly in order to actually get past it, with notable caveats of stupid JRPG battles, but that's another thing. But looks really good. I'm really excited by it. A lot of my friends are really excited by it. I'm getting excited because they're excited. It sounds like the writing is great. It sounds like people are cheating to get thongs already, which is bizarre, but apparently you can do that.
Excuse me, cheating to get thongs? Did I hear that right?
Yeah, okay. So there is a character in the game in a cutscene who is apparently wearing an item. I don't know why they have it as an item in the game, but apparently if you take the game offline, you use Cheat Engine to put an item code in your inventory, it's the thong that character is wearing. So you can just go around buck naked minus this tiny piece of fabric with little jewels rolling off of it.
All right.
I don't know, man. Gamers, they just do these things.
Look, let the game devs have their fun.
Well, that certainly wasn't intended, as you have to glitch the item into your inventory, but I don't know, man. It's just a thing. But as I start reading and seeing and facepalming over more things, I'm sure I'll have more to say. But whew, all right, yeah. No, there's a lot of good things going on in the world right now, and a lot of bad things, but people being supportive of the people being affected. So there is that hope there. And I suppose that's really all we can look to right now.
No doubt. But hey, at least we got games and we got music. That's something that cannot be taken away from us.
Speaking of music, is that
that is the transition? Cue? Yes. That was the cue.
All right, we're still pros totally after 100 rounds.
Seamless, just the best.
This is the first remix from Octopath Traveler I'm aware of. So we'll start with that. We start with Octopath Unraveled by Evan Wardell, J.M. Abate, and Soul and Sadness from Octopath Traveler, going into the slums of Traverse. I don't know, is this Michigan? By Phrygian Fingers and prophetic music from Kingdom Hearts, and ending with Tifa's Life by Rebecca E. Trips, Big Returner, and Tiggs from Final Fantasy VII.
lost child. Where's your light on this dark day? You're in there somewhere. I'll search for you even though I'm lost myself. Can you remember the things you told me on that strange day? When I was falling, you kept your promise. You came for me. Although you gaze on, your eyes stare through me. I know you still. I see the grains of hope still within you, sweet lost star. You're not alone. Just let me see your eyes. Do you still hear these rows through those pale sighing lilies? Can you not see her? Can you not touch her and feel her tears? Such a laughter, but it was love for you and our home is in the stars where we left it, my lost child. I'll feel your though my heart is also breaking, just let love in. Our home is in those stars where we left it, my sweet
All right. Well, despite what's been going on in the world, I hope we've been able to play at least one game. Maybe no. Oh, I'm getting the big old no. Oh, and then the tear. Oh, womp womp.
But I have been watching.
I mean, okay, that's halfway there. Obviously,
So
you've been watching a
I
lot of Tunic, right? Because you were waxing poetic about it just earlier.
yeah, it was the 2 nights of it because it was only released on Wednesday.
Sure, sure,
Um,
sure.
yeah, I've been watching that and commentating, I guess. But also, I suppose these are things that Vlad's been playing. Um, quite a bit of Need for Speed Heat. Another thing that's free on Xbox Game Pass right now. That's an entertaining game to watch. You drive cars around and do legal cough and very illegal street races and get money and upgrade your car and go through a story and etc. So you can get multiple vehicles and fuck with the police and all sorts of fun stuff. So
That's
that's been
not
entertaining.
that's not a recent title, is it? That feels like I think that's a few years old by now.
It's the most recent Need for
Oh,
Speed.
is it? Dang. All right, I must be behind.
Was
then.
it 2018, 2016, something like I don't know. It's on Series S and X, so there's that. But no, it's pretty good.
Oh, 2019 apparently is what Wikipedia
2019.
Wikipedia is telling me. Huh. Okay.
So no, that's been very entertaining. Yeah. He's been playing some other stuff too, but those are primarily the things that I've just been kind of like, hey, this is great. Play that more. I want to watch it. So yeah, you know how that be.
Yeah.
But beyond that, I have some things that I'd like to play. Apparently, this game that I'm pasting into chat has either released or is about to release, and okay.
Stranger of
it's
Paradise Final
described-
Fantasy Origin, by the way, since some of this is radio and
Yeah.
not video.
So it's yeah,
Huh.
yeah. So I just started reading about that over the break, and I was just kind of like, what the fuck is this? And yeah, so go read about it because I don't even know the full extent to what that is, but I want to play it. There's a game I want to play. We'll see if I ever get to it.
Huh. Yeah, this is the first I've heard of it too, so cool.
Apparently, it has a bunch of references from Final Fantasy stuff throughout the series. Corneria is where it is? Question mark.
Curious.
And Chaos is where you're the person to defeat, but you're like this beefcake named Jack who wears a Bluetooth hat and a biscuit and cuts the baddies off when they monologue too much.
Okay, all right, respect for that.
So I mean, it sounds hilarious to me, and yeah, I want to see that. So yeah, totally. Let's talk about games I want to play with the single tier emoji happening. But cool. How about you? You who's actually played things and streams and does all of these cool things.
I don't know about all the cool things, but some cool things, I suppose. So, from last show, I was in the middle of Cogmind. So I finished that up. I didn't get extremely much further than I had already described back then, but I feel like I got maybe 2/3 of the way through. In the grand scheme of things, it is just a brief description of it from last time. It is a net hack-ish roguelike, in the true sense of the word, where if you expire, if you perish, you go back to square one. There's no intermediate roguelite things where you gain eventual upgrades and stuff like that stick with you.
Do you get a bones file?
Maybe I just haven't played it enough where that might be a thing, but I have not experienced anything like that just yet. They did actually just release another significant update to it yesterday of all times. So I'll go back to it and play it again, probably. Perhaps not on stream, but probably play it again because it was very fun, despite being extremely rude and and not very happy with the idea of somebody succeeding in it. But yeah, it's very fun. It's NetHack, but very much sci-fi and not high fantasy type stuff. Which is perfect for me. Like I can dig RPG-ish stuff. I would prefer more sci-fi oriented stuff in general than fantasy, but it is there. So Cogmind is now on the complete list. After that, I picked up Furious Angels, which is very much an arcadey, top-down, air combat, shooter-ish thing, which is just ticking every box in my please put this in a game column, and I will play the hell out of it, which I did. Very, very competitive at the top level of scoring, which is great. I managed to make it to the top of the board, one of the daily boards, I think, once over the 2.5-ish weeks that I played it, fairly consistently, even off-stream, really. And it
Very nice.
is something. It is a fun ass game. It's also only $5, so drop a fiver on it and go play it because it's really fun. So after I put that to bed, I actually started on I don't know if it's necessarily a direct sequel, but very much a spiritual sequel to it called Afterburn, by the
Yep.
same devs, very much almost identical core mechanics, but instead of it being top down, sort of 2D ish, it's full on free roam 3D air combat,
Oh.
which is very interesting. It's one of those things like Risk of Rain did, where Risk of Rain, OG Risk of Rain 1 was 2D action
Hmm.
platform sort of thing, and Risk of Rain 2 was full on third person 3D mode, and it worked really well. And the same thing kind of happens for this too.
So
The
this is not like a 6 degree of freedom thing. It's just like
No,
fully,
it's like
hey, let's pretend it's Star Fox 64 kind of thing,
sort of,
except
yeah,
without the rails.
like all range mode in Star Fox 64 is
Yeah, 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 yeah.
actually a good way to think of it. So yeah, not full ass six DOF like a Descent or an Overload or anything like that, but like air combat, air sim, very much still arcade style. It's not super realistic physics or whatever. Like, oh, that's never gonna happen or whatever. It's close enough where you get the gist that you're in a fighter jet and you're shooting down other fighter jets and shit, and it's just
Oh,
real good fun. Perhaps the one gripe I have against it is that there's not as much variety in enemies as there was in Furious Angels. Like you fight, radar emplacements on the ground. There's some weird hover cargo ship that rounds out the bigger enemies, and then two different types of jets, which is, it's only four enemy types. It's not that much, but in Furious Angels there was like seven or eight different enemy types that made very interesting combination waves
hmm.
when they showed up. So I would love to see more variation in that game. That'd be great, but it's still very very fun. I did just finish that up this past week, so that's now probably staying in my library to play every now and again because it is still extremely fun.
Awesome.
On the SBC side of things for Shmup Book Club, this whole monthly/quarterly thing that we do every week, so weekly we get together and play some stuff. The Shmup for month of March is Phalanx for Super Nintendo, for SNES.
Ooh.
It's best known for having weird ass box art for the North American release.
Okay.
Because
Okay.
there's an old dude playing a banjo on the box art for the North American release, which has nothing to do with the game whatsoever. But behind that,
Uh-huh.
it's not even a good shmup, really. It's adequate. It's okay. It's difficult. It's rude. It's got some contrast issues with being able to see things, and it's just kind of, I wouldn't be so harsh as to say uninteresting, but kind of like meh.
Mm.
Which is unfortunate, but hey, it's we play good shmups, we play okay shmups, we play a bad shmup every now and again. Um, but yeah, that's the one for March. Our quarterly for January through March is still going on. That's Soikyo Gorentai. And then the quarterly for, let's see, when did this one start? March through May, I want to say. Our new quarterly for March through May now is Eschatos,
Hmm.
which has I forget which system it was for originally, but there's a 360 version, there's a Switch version, and there's a PC version of Eschatos. Apparently, all of them are perfectly valid for our particular sort of pseudo competitive thing we got going on. So, haven't quite
Oh.
picked that one up yet, but it's out there. Sunday long plays, I've been focusing on Dead Cells. That was a game I did normally on stream 3-ish years ago. And since then, there was like 3 or 4 major content expansions to it. So I've been having fun
Oh.
just going back and trying to see the new content. Of course, not being good enough to see the new content yet. But it is still very fun, and I'm still going to be playing that this Sunday. Outside of that, I made mention of us starting. Did we just? Yeah, we had just started a rather large async multi-world since last show. That is now complete. We finished that, in fact, 2 days ahead of schedule. Took us a little bit south of 4 weeks to get everybody finished up. That was 62 worlds across 10 unique games with 10 players. 9,229 items across all of those 62 worlds. Whew, it was a time. It was a time. There was some very complicated and mean item chains to get everybody to be able to complete. And that was even with like 80% of us breaking logic whenever we could. So it was a fun time. We had done a smaller one prior to that, which I'm pretty sure I mentioned last time as well. This was kind of a bigger variant of it, the next iteration of it. And
I see you, Tom. I see you in chat. This is mostly partially well, you're at fault.
Right.
Whatever.
Yeah. I'm at fault for organizing some stupid garbage like this, right? So and so our next iteration of it, the third one is probably coming up mid-April. A couple weeks off in between to allow people time to rest and also to allow me time to improve the bot that we use to keep track of all the items flying back and forth, which gets rather dense when you have 62 worlds and 10 people.
Ooh. Yeah. Mental recovery
time. Yes, it is. It is mentally taxing to play in something like that. No doubt. No doubt.
Yep.
And outside of all of that, I even found a little bit of time to sneak in some Risk of Rain 2, because the new content expansion, Survivors of the Void, dropped a week and change ago. Adds a couple new playable characters, a handful of new levels, a whole smattering of new items, and a whole new class of items called Void items that corrupt your normal items when you pick them up, which is fun. Gives them different effects. As well as a new endgame. There's a new path you can take to complete the game, which is very difficult, by the way. I just cleared it for the first time yesterday. Ugh.
Awesome.
Very tough. But it was very good.
Cool.
It's like, oh, great game. Love it. Definitely worth it's paid DLC, but it's definitely worth the purchase price.
Gotcha.
I'm sure there were a couple handful of things I've been playing just on and off too, but I didn't write them down, so that's how that goes. Phew! Wow, that's a big list, and you talk about it all at once. You need some time to recover from that. How about some more Toonskis?
So, how about it?
Coming up for bonus level 2, or whatever we call these sections. First off, a remix from Shovel Knight entitled Grand Shovel March by Chris Kohler. Followed up by a remix from Dragon Ball Z Budokai 2 entitled Twisted Soul by Belays. And then finishing off with a remix from Castlevania Symphony of the Night entitled The Witching Hour by Ocean's Andrew.
familiar sensation. Oddly soothing. Kakarot, I think I understand now why you've always been so strong.
How about we skip the introduction and get right to it, okay? Fusion!
Okay, before we get started with our final segment here, I'd like to propose one perhaps little caveat that you can feel free to veto if you'd like. I'm not
Sure.
really married to it. So, typically with our ad hoc segments, we give it 3 rolls, right? If we like the
Mm-hmm.
combo, we go with it. If we don't, we re-roll until we hit the third one, and then we're stuck with it. Tonight, I'd like to see. I'd like to try just going with the first one and just no matter what comes up, let's just barrel through and see what we get.
All
But
right.
again, if you don't feel comfortable doing that, that's fine. Like we can just do normal 3 roll things. But
No, I'm totally fine with that. It's a special occasion.
it
It's the
is,
worm moon. We're
yeah,
on round 100.
triple digits.
Sure.
Yeah, I figure we'll mix it up not too much, just a tiny bit. Just mix it up a little tiny bit, and
All
see what we
right.
get. So we cool with just the one and done?
Yeah. Let me
Okay.
know when you want me to push the
All right,
button.
yeah, push that button, slam that like button, ring that bell, whatever,
Subscribe. I don't know.
subscribe, etc.
Okay.
Your reaction
I
already
think this
tells
one
me this
might
is a
be too
bad
easy,
idea.
honestly.
Oh,
But
really?
okay.
Oh, did we get super lucky? I can't believe it.
I think we did. All right.
Okay,
So we have one each of genre, rules, setting, and theme. Let me know when you're ready.
go for it.
The genre is top-down shooter. Already
All
a
right,
fan favorite of yours.
excellent. I do like it. Okay,
Here's the twist, though. The rule is unconventional movement.
unconventional movement. So it sounds like Twin Stick is out.
Uh-huh.
Okay, that's fine. That's fine.
All right. The setting is dystopia. So that lends itself pretty
All
well.
right, yeah, that's not unreasonable.
And the theme is descent into madness.
Already there.
Uh-huh. Like I said,
Oh, yeah,
this pretty much makes itself.
that's not
We have the
bad.
twist, we have the everything else playing really complimentary, and yeah, okay. So,
Okay,
how do you
okay,
want to move?
okay. So, what popped into my head first about the movement bit was taking away part of the control from the player. And normally I would hate that because I
Hmm.
hate conveyor belts, I hate wind, I hate ice physics, I hate all that shit that takes control away from the player. But I think it would work okay here. And my thought on that bit of it is to at least be always accelerating in the direction that you're facing slash aiming.
Okay.
So that takes like one of the sticks away from the twin stick setup. So we can get away with like one analog control here, without it being like super outlandish and tough to deal with, right?
That sounds like a certain rhythm game.
Uh, which one? Which one?
God, what the hell name was it? It's the one that Danny B wrote the music for, and then subsequent other composers. Where you're always
Uh,
hopping in the direction that you're facing to the beat. Oh, come on. You played it.
did I?
Yeah, you did. We saw it at PAX several times too.
You're not thinking shapes and beats, are you? No,
No.
that's not it. Because you could definitely
Hold
control.
on. Ah,
It's not Beat Hazard. That was something else.
what the hell was it? Crypt of the Necrodancer. There we go.
Ah, okay.
Yeah,
Yeah,
so
all
basically you
right.
have to choose your direction and it just keeps moving to
Yeah,
the beat, I
that's
think.
true.
Otherwise you
You
die.
always have to take an action. You don't necessarily have to move, but you do have to take an
Gotcha,
action every
gotcha.
beat. Yeah, yeah. No, I get
Kind of
you.
reminds
That's
me of that.
that's similar. Yeah, I get you.
I had an
Um,
idea of using a rollerball, but like that's not as fun as this.
a rollerball is interesting though. Like I can see that
Yeah.
still operating as like the analog control to change your direction,
Uh-huh.
right? So that's not entirely out of the question. I suppose
Okay, fair.
a more generic way to put it would be like a single analog-ish control, right? For
Yeah, more or
movement
less.
facing, movement direction slash facing, right?
Well, huh. That would take care of your direction and your acceleration.
Mm-hmm.
Interesting. All right. Well, yeah, that might be an option. Um,
Now it's just it like once we start addressing the rest of it, it may not be a good choice. But that was my first thought, was to give you a single analog control and just throw the rest to the wind.
Yeah, it sounds fantastic.
Okay, so then what else do we have? Top down shooter. Wow. Okay. Such a blessing.
So that already uncomplicates the graphic style.
It sure does. It sure does. Although, like, even just as I was playing Furious Angels this past month, like, you can still do a lot of neat graphical things with top down. Like, top down to me implies that the gameplay is on more or less a 2D plane, but that doesn't necessarily imply that all the graphics need to be 2D. So
Sure.
you get some real, like, interesting 2.5D ish setups, right?
What if we made it isometric?
Right? I mean, that's it's top down in a sense, right?
Yeah.
So okay, we were willing to lean into the isometric. I can deal with that.
Sure. Cool.
Does
Not shit posting at all.
Yeah, no, of course not. Does isometric imply like a certain angle measurement too, or is it essentially just like there's no perspective? It's just everything's
I mean, so long as it's tilted 45 degrees, like you can pan it whatever Z angle you want, I think.
okay. Actually, let me look that up real quick. I wonder, like, the typical implication of isometric would be like something like the Sim City angle, right? Where we've always got
Yeah.
this. You're always like, and it's always like it's like the Dutch angle of video game perspectives.
Yeah, kind of.
Kind of gross description of that, but whatever. Isometric. Yeah, it is pretty much just equal dimensions, non-perspective. Okay, I can work with
Yeah.
that. All right. So isometric, true 2D or 2.5D, whichever.
So Kenny kind of gave me an idea there. Like, so if you have it in that perspective, but you don't necessarily know what the depth of the area that you're moving into is, you could
Mhm.
fall to different layers.
Oh, interesting. Okay.
So it would be kind of like a labyrinth game in that case. Ooh, I like that actually.
So you would primarily be on this certain plane, but then
Ooh,
with the
ooh,
magic
shit.
of downward facing angles, you could see like holes in the floor that you could go down to into another plane. Is that kind of what you're
Okay,
thinking of?
so this actually kind of, I love it. Okay, so, this could actually take care of the unconventional movement too. Okay, this is going to be real weird, but hear me out. So, isometric, whatever, you can't quite see the depth, or you can, but it's played like one of those labyrinth puzzles. So, you need to navigate through these levels and stay alive, obviously, but also shoot things as you go. But then
Okay.
as you fall to each layer, you're literally descending into madness. Ha ha ha.
Oh, I get it. Uh-huh.
And you control it like a labyrinth puzzle. Like you move it back and forth and you can it and but it's all tilt controls.
Oh no, I'm using tilt controls.
Exactly. So it's terrible. But
I mean, that is sort of still keeping in the spirit of a single analog control, really, to determine your movement,
yeah,
right? Because constant
yeah,
acceleration towards whatever the tilt of the labyrinth is, right?
exactly.
I can see that. Yeah. Okay.
Uh-huh.
Uh,
Yeah, so it's all motion controls all the time.
tilt the
I
play
hate it.
field for motion with motion controls, essentially, right? Yeah.
Yeah, that's
that
pretty much
that
it.
tracks. Like the trackball still works there. Single analog stick would work there. Good heavens, gyroscopic controls work there.
That's
Yeah.
what I'm thinking, like gyroscopic would be perfect for that.
Okay.
Finally a use for that Wii U tablet.
Wasn't there like not quite a first party title, but wasn't there like a tech demo-ish thing that did exactly that with one of those
I
labyrinth games?
honestly don't know.
Or maybe it
That
was
would be
like
cool.
a Super Monkey Ball.
Kirby's Tilt and Tumble? I
Oh,
did
yeah,
hear
there you
that. I
go.
never actually knew what its like gimmick was.
That was that a Game Boy Color game that had the gyroscope built into the cart? and that's how you
Yeah, there
would
was one that was
control
like
it.
that. Yeah.
Yeah. Was it GBA? It could have
Was
been
it GBA?
GBA. Either one.
Because like Game Boy Colors, where they first started getting like hard into that like add-on chip inside of the cartridge kind of thing.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. You know, I think you're right, Kenny. Oh no, no, I was right. Game Boy Color. Damn. Why does my mind hold on to dumb shit like that, and I can't remember what I did yesterday?
Oh, Tom, I love it. That'd be unconventional as fuck.
Yeah, it's Game Boy Color. Damn, nice. All right, let's tilt the playfield with an analog control, whether that's motion or not, dealer's choice.
Analog?
Yeah, analog control.
There we go. Sorry. As I'm reading the show notes as they're being live
Yeah,
typed,
that's
this
right.
is perfect.
Don't do math on stream. Don't type on stream. Oh,
Really gotta cue up that Jeopardy theme.
Oh my god. Oh, terrible ideas happening in the chat right now, which is great. This is what we live for.
Uh-huh. Uh-huh. Hey, Kenny, you might get some car keys that fall out of it. You never know.
Okay. So did Descent into Madness? Well, yeah, you got that with the whole descending layers type thing in a
Mhm.
literal sense. What can we do with like more thematic with that?
Well, so
Oh,
you could make
no.
maps that are harkening back to things like Doom or Quake, etc. And each layer you get, the more fucked it gets.
Oh, I just had a thought with that too. Oh
Okay.
no. Like, all right,
Oh,
so
yes.
I'm gonna inject a little net hack in here and say that
Good.
the ultimate goal is to get to the bottom and get the treasure or whatever, and then make your way
Ooh.
back out. But in order to make your way back out, the entire world has to flip, and then you gotta
Yes,
make your
yes,
way
I was just
back.
thinking that.
Oh dear. That's terrible, but I kind of like it.
No, we're doing it. I don't care.
Okay. All right.
It's like the 3D Maze screensaver, except like actually.
Except that way instead
Yes.
of oh no. Yeah.
I'm for this. Yep.
Then
Mhm.
get back out. And then on reaching the bottom layer, entire world flips and you need to get back out. And then all the enemies can change, all their movement patterns change because they're
Oh, yeah.
upside down, and oh no.
Yeah, so the altar is the like hole that your ball fits into.
Yeah.
And then shoop. Love it.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And of course you have to like collect things along the way, otherwise you can't activate the flip mechanism or some stupid shit.
Right. I mean, you can only tilt it so far until you get to the bottom and get the treasure, and then suddenly 180 on the vertical axis, and yeah, okay.
You've got power balls going on or something.
Yeah, something like that. Entire vertical flip at the end. Story and hook.
It's a dystopian descent into madness. Like it fills
Like,
itself
yeah.
in. Come on.
Metaphorical and or literal descent into madness.
There you go. Perfect.
Find the plumb the depths. Then make it back alive.
I am mature.
Yeah, I'm sure we're both very mature.
Uh-huh.
Okay. Inventory, well, various weapons, I guess. We are a shooter, so
That's true. So like you have to shit. Okay, so you don't get you don't really get a choice of the weapon you get, but it's whatever you rolled over last.
oh, interesting. Okay.
But you do like retain the ammo for the various weapons you pick up, and sometimes they might have special characteristics or something. That would be neat.
So when you pick up a new weapon, does the old one just kind of disappear into the ether? You can't roll back and get it, I would guess.
Correct.
Okay.
Yeah, it's kind of like, I don't know, insert NES game when you accidentally pick up the cross or something and you don't want to be like, fuck.
Mm-hmm.
Yep. Mm-hmm.
but retain ammo. Retain remaining ammo.
Yep. Yeah, and if you don't have
Okay.
enough ammo for the weapon that you have, you better find one.
Since we are doing some heavy movement here, can then your weapon be your melee attack by just slamming
Why
into
not?
something?
Or you could just, football tackle into things by going faster or something.
Right? Okay, I like that.
Cool.
I can't see this working for more than one player. Like that would be
Yeah, nah.
a nightmare.
Although it would be kind of hilarious to have a versus mode that, like, each person was fighting each other for the tilt angle or something. So you'd have to come up with creative maps in order to kind of make it work anyway. But
I
yeah,
mean, visually speaking, you could still make that happen
ooh,
if players had like
Ooh.
independent angles going on.
Okay, so hear me out. So 2-player versus. One
Okay.
player controls one axis, the other player controls the other.
Oh, good lord. That's great.
And you're encouraged to use split screen, or screen sniping, rather. Yep. All right, cool.
Okay,
I love it.
I can dig that. Two with how do they usually describe this? Like cooperative or
Uh,
there's a weird ass portmanteau where it's like cooperative and competitive at the same time, but I don't remember what that term is now.
I'm sure somebody in chat knows, not me.
Yeah. Shit, it's gonna bother me until I look it up, but I'll look it up after the show. Oh. This is like starting to get very pinball-y, right? So
Yeah, I'm thinking,
audio
yeah,
sounds like like your standard pinball stupid
mixed with
pings
early
and
90s PC games.
oh boy,
Like,
early 90s PC game sounds but like pinball.
so, like, okay, so you get, like, Quake map like music, except you have this really out of place classic pinball noises that happen. That's the weird juxtaposition I need in this game.
I mean, we are talking about Descent into Madness, so
Yeah,
it
exactly.
tracks 100%.
Except you'll never actually quite hit that multi-ball. It can be teased the entire time, but you'll never get it.
Or you will, but then you lose everything but one, so it's like you never had it to begin with.
Yeah, that's fair.
Stupid pinball. Okay. Covers just about everything, except, of course, the most difficult thing of all, the damn title.
Ooh, I actually started getting some stuff now that you're talking about pinball. Plunge into Madness or something weird.
Plunge is real good. That's real good.
Plunge is great.
I like that being in there. Hey, since we're stealing a treasure, like taking the plunge or something. Like,
Honestly, no, that sounds great. Or stealing the plunge or some such. Forcibly taking the plunge. Haha, it's a joke.
Ha, I get it.
Okay. There you go. Love it.
Hey, look, if we're gonna essentially make a game out of a shitpost again, we may as well lean into it.
There you go. No, I think that pretty much covers everything, weirdly enough.
Dang, that came together really well.
Uh-huh. So if you're satisfied with that,
I
I do
am.
want to know what the other ones that we didn't make
Okay.
would have been.
Yeah, that's fair. Go ahead. Hit that button twice more.
All right, roll number 2. 2 genres, horror and roguelike.
Huh?
The one rule would have been take one, leave the rest. The
Okay.
setting would have been steampunk. And the theme would have been technology gone nuts. Yeah, I could see that working too.
All right. Yeah, that would have also been acceptable.
And then option number 3, which we undoubtedly would have gone with because that's all we do. Genre is multiplayer. The rule is build your way out. The setting is another planet. The theme is man against world.
Jeez, 3 of the 4 of those is Fortnite, just right there.
I was thinking, oh my god, game, come back to me. Space game that got much better over time. That's been getting more popular lately.
No Man's Sky.
Thank you. It kind of reminds me of that.
It does. It does a little bit. Yeah. Well, hey, still, I think sticking with the first one just outright worked pretty well.
Yeah, no, we produced some stuff that wasn't trash, I think.
Yeah.
I hope.
Yeah. I mean, like, none of the stuff we've done in this ad hoc has really been, like, genuine trash. We've made the best of some weird situations, certainly.
Some of it was horny, but that was because it forced us.
I mean, hey, yeah, look. All right, look, man. If you gotta go and make yourself an erotic visual novel, you gotta go and make yourself an erotic visual novel, okay?
True, like, them's the rules.
Mhm.
Like...
I mean, it's the law. We don't make the rules. Well, we do make the rules here, but when we make the rules, we gotta follow the rules, so...
Yeah, and look where it's got us. We're in, 100 rounds into the show, and, gotta have some fun with it.
Right? Like, if we're not having fun with it, what's even the point?
Yeah, pretty much.
And we did done dude it, so good job. Good job.
Yay, we did it. Thank you much.
Oof. All right. Well, is there anything else we need to impart out to our wonderful audience? Otherwise, we can call this a wrap.
Go look at that beautiful worm moon, assuming you can see it. That's about it. Woo and whatever obligatory things.
Very good. Very good. Well, thank you once again, everybody, for sticking with us for 100 rounds. I'm Mr. Bond.
And I'm Tormod.
We'll leave you with our typical closing track, a remix from Mario Kart Wii entitled Wind in Your Hair by Overclocked University. Good night, everybody.
Ciao.